This is a party to be shared. Come on in and enjoy the show. Come on, Susie. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode to According to MzShellz. Today is a perfect day for us to talk about love, healthy marriages, healthy relationships, and I have a perfect example, in my opinion, here in the form of Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes, my friends from when, and just to show everybody out there that love exists in the form of marriage and that it can be longevity. You can have longevity. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to my channel. And also, when they share their information on how to find them, you also go over and share and like their pages as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, love is in the air. Welcome to my show, Mr. and Mrs. Team Rhodes. Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly. Thank you for having us.
I must say, I have to give you my flowers first before we even start talking about introductions. I admire your tenacity as a couple. I admire your strength. And I remember you said, like, everyone was like, what's Ciara's prayer? What's Ciara's prayer? I remember you saying that you did your own prayer. And she's like, persons out, you said, people always ask how we last so long, but pretty they didn't know that I've been praying for my husband or praying for my marriage when I was a young person. And I'm like, there you go. Not only Ciara has a prayer. So, I appreciate that. And then, how you support each other's dream and support each other's as business persons and stuff like that. So I appreciate that example you show us and show me that love exists and that young persons, because I mean we basically grew up together, Angelline,
Yes.
Can foster love, foster a marriage that's healthy and whole. And so the first toast to the Rhodes. I celebrate you and I wish you many more years of marriage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, ladies before gentlemen, Miss Angeline, please introduce us to your husband.
Hi, everybody. This is my super T. That's what I call him. He's my superhero, Timothy Rhodes. He has the heart of God. When I tell you that concerning me, concerning our family, I can't say so much about him, but the one thing I admire about him is his commitment and his love. He's not afraid to be transparent, which a lot of men aren't. He's extremely transparent, extremely humble. But when he stands up, everybody listens. We're from Kissimmee, Florida. That's where we live. He was actually born in Orlando. He's a native Floridian, believe it or not, from Orlando, Florida, born and grown. And you want to share your profession? I know sometimes you tell me about that. Okay. He actually serves with the county that we live in Polk County. He's actually a deputy with the sheriff's department. So even though he's extremely humble and reserved, he's also full of strength. I tell you, when he puts that uniform on, he becomes somebody else. And you really see like, oh, but I love the fact that he's also extremely flexible and he's able to handle me, Shelly. You know how that goes. But he's an awesome man of God. He's passionate about learning and growing, and he's extremely determined and focused. So I give my flowers to you, honey.
Thank you.
You're the best thing on this side of heaven, though.
Well, everybody, this is Angelline Rhodes. She's originally from Jamaica, and she made her way here to Florida. And we met and hit it off and got it together. Been the best thing that happened to me so far. We have 3 beautiful kids, and she's been the love of my life, a supporter, I wouldn't trade it in for anything.
Really?
Yeah.
You weren't gonna tell me you were trading me in this morning. That's what.
No, but I wouldn't trade it in for anything. And she's a financial advisor. She really helps a lot of folks out, and everybody love her because she gives her all, and she's genuine, and she's trustworthy, and she's someone that you could depend on. And it's just been a great journey, and I really enjoy the process.
Awesome. And you said it was almost 19 years of this journey.
July 10th will be 19 years.
Wow. Awesome. That's cool. So when we're talking about this journey, take us back to the beginning. Who saw who first? And said, oh, I like her or I like him.
It was kind of, I say it was a little different because my cousin lived with me, and we both started coming to the church, and we met a friend of hers, and was it Jay? Mm-hmm. And we became best friends, me and Jay, and she would never talk to me. She would always come up and say hello to my cousin AJ, and she would always greet him. So I always thought she was goofy because in the middle of church service, whatever the song is, was like sound said that I could believe you could fly, something like that. She was flapping her arms and everything, but she was just really goofy to me. And then but I guess over time, we started all working together through the praise and worship team. And it just happened through Jay to get together because we always come together as like a group of friends. And it just worked out that way, and just the chemistry just hit after a while. So that's how I say it started. You got any input?
He always tells me, because I'm the person in the church who would greet every single person that comes in. People would go, hey, good to see you again, and I would hug them going, I don't know who you are, that was just me. I just love people. I used to always greet them, but I would never greet him. And it wasn't intentional. It was, I don't know what I told him. I said, see, baby, that's how you got me, because you were the only person I wasn't paying attention to.
And she would call my phone.
Oh my God.
Asking for Jay. She wouldn't say hello or anything. So I said, how disrespectful. I said, Dad, how your friend call my phone? She don't say hello or nothing. She'd ask for him. But I mean, it brought back some times, but to this day, you just never know what God have in store, because sometimes people, they meet each other and they attract each other and it don't work out. And then a lot of times you're the opposite, and you just never know how God's gonna place you together. And it just happened that it just worked out that way because it was meant to be. But we didn't know it, but he knew it.
So was there like a date? Did you ever decide to date? What led you to say, okay, let's work on it as a relationship, or let's leave this into? What was it that led you to do the coming together, that meeting point?
Well, again, Jay got us, he was like, hey, maybe you guys should, talk or get to know each other. So we called each other. And that first time, that's all. She talked about everything else. All the friends, she talked about Jay, this and that. So I told him, I said, you know what? I don't think this is gonna work. But then we got back together and we started talking. So we kind of understood where we needed to go with it. And we became friends, and we would hang out, and they had like a single night where everybody that's single get together. And we would go out, go to the movies, and we just starting to get to know each other. And then like I said, we got together with a group. Then we started going different places. And then it was one day we was supposed to go to the beach. Everybody was supposed to go, but I think they did it on purpose. And then it ended up being me and Ann going. And so we went to the beach. We got a little closer. And then after that, we started dating, and then that's when we really knew that, you know, was walking into a relationship. You know, and the first date was at what, the Cheesecake Factory. Yeah.
Awesome. So you think Jay was the one who told everybody, let's not show up?
Yeah,
Probably.
I think he was a culprit.
Probably.
Still a mastermind. Awesome. All right. So who did the first kiss? I'm curious. You remember? Is that too far?
Nah, that's not too far. You want
That's
to
too far. Okay, far back. Many kisses later. Okay.
There's a whole story behind that, because when we started getting really, really close, and we started having conversations, one of the pet peeves that I had was that was not gonna happen.
Okay.
I was only going to do that if I was going to do it with my husband. And it just so happened that something why I gotta be what's up. So we when I was in college, even when I was in college, Shirley, we used to do everything single and all of that. We used to hang out together. Well, it was during that time where God was processing me. And like you said, I've been praying for him since I was 16 years old, just based on the advice of someone else. So when I was in college, it was a big preparation process for me. God would, he was trying to teach me, build me up and stuff like that. And when by the time we got to final year in college, I would, you're in school, the last thing you're thinking about is eating, right? Because you got to get these papers in, you got to do the exams. So God would always fuss about me eating. He was like, you need to eat because you need to stay healthy. So he would say it a certain way. And I would always recognize that it was him talking to me whenever it came to that. Well, one day we were having a conversation and he said the exact same thing, the same way God would actually look twice to make sure it was a God that was talking to me. When I tell you it freaked me out, it scared the daylight out of me. I was like, oh no, God, we are not going there. This guy sounds just like you. He got you all up on the inside of him. I'm gonna split. He's too good. And I actually broke up with him that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The thing was, every time people had tried to set me up before, the whole 2 years when I was here before I met him, people would try to set me up. And every time a guy came along, I would always pray about it. And God would always say, is that the best? When it came to him and I prayed about him, God didn't say anything.
Okay.
I was like, that was my out, right? Because I really didn't know where God was in the whole mix, even though we were still getting to know each other. And after I did that, needless to say, I spent 2 days crying with the whole thing, with God saying, why did you do that? Just because I didn't say he wasn't the one. And that was my initial confirmation that we needed to take things to the next level. So after those 2 days, I called him and we got together and I told him, the whole spill about what happened with me. And that was the first time we kissed. Yeah. He's bossy, by the way.
Yes. I can't see that, but okay.
Don't believe the hype.
Okay.
It's the other way around.
Really.
Awesome. And I think you maybe established that no kiss. Is it safe to say that the no kiss was one of those things you use to protect your heart, protect your standpoint? Yeah, I think that's good for any single person to create some form of, what you call it, like a protective barrier, so to speak, so that you maintain your holiness and maintain the purity of the relationship. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so we move beyond that first kiss, that first day. How was the proposal? How did that go?
Oh boy. So I was my uncle was sick at the time. I was in New York. Just let me backtrack. He came to the church in July. He came to the church in July of the year before. We started talking in about October of that year. And needless, there was no interest prior to that. So we started talking in October. 2 months later, in December, we knew we were going to get married. That's how quickly it happened. So right after that, my uncle got sick, and my family sent me to New York to find out what was going on with him. He was here, and that would have been our first Valentine's together the year after. Because I was in New York in February. So I found out that he was going to propose because my mom told me. She spilled the beans when I was in New York. She was trying to get me to stay and look after my uncle. And she was like, oh, by the way, Tim called and said he was going to propose to you. And I gave him my permission. Like, yeah, okay. All right, God, let's pray about this so I can go back home. Yeah, so I left and I came back the night before. It was the night before I flew in. He picked me up at the airport with all of our friends in the car. We were all a part of the praise and worship team at our church. There was a group of us and everybody was single. So we all used to hang out together. So he had everybody in the car with him and we went out. We always go out, hang out and eat. So we went to IHop because that was where it was like really late. And I was at IHop, and so I get distant sometimes. So I just get in my own head. So I was sitting there playing with this little game they had on the table, and
I remember that.
Yeah, he knelt down and he was proposing, and I didn't realize what he was doing.
Oh my God, Angie, you can't be all that zoned out.
And then my friend, Jay, was the one who said, "Girl, don't you see the man asking you a question?" And then even after he said it again, I didn't answer. And then everybody was like, he said, yes, like what? I told you I was a lot. He's good.
She almost lost me then.
Oh my goodness. So you did eventually say yes, right?
I actually verbalized it. I think I was doing this instead of actually answering. Yeah. And they wanted me to verbally say it. So I ended up verbalizing it. Yeah.
You went the Jamaican way first.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So did you know that friend burst the secret, Tim? Or you just knowing now? The friend that she said called her and told you.
My mom called her and told her.
So was it's your mom?
It was my mom.
Oh, okay.
My mom that told me, yeah.
I thought I heard you said Bob. Or you said your mom.
No, it was my mom. Yeah. Because my family, usually when stuff happens with my uncle, he's not married and he doesn't have any kids. We always send a family delegate to go and check out. I happen to be the one who they send. But yeah, my mom and my sister sent me to go figure out what was going on. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, my mom told me. That was one of the reasons why I came back too. Like I was not gonna stay. Even though to me it was still a surprise because when he proposed, it might have been like after 1 or 2 in the morning on Valentine's Day. It was like going into the 14th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. Awesome. So you said you've been together almost 19 years, 3 kids. And I'm sure along the way you've both had to navigate certain situations, certain ups and downs. How did you do that? Like, for example, was there some moment that there was something together that tested your faith perhaps, or tested the marriage to the point that you said, Lord, are we gonna make it? Or, is there, like, you don't have to go in all the juicy details, but just to give us a basic idea how you navigated something that, just life seriously happened, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I think like if you guys are single and you never lived together before, everybody has a different way how they do things. Personality is different. When you're single and you're dating, you're putting on your best foot forward. And so when you get married or you start living together, then over time you start seeing the real person. Not saying that it's a big change, but you start to see the person for who they are. You know, some aspects that of that they don't really put out there when you first dating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it could be, just for example, she might not like, I might not like clothes or stuff that's thrown on the floor, and that might not bother her, but over time, one get frustrated because they don't like this one or they don't like this, so y'all start bumping heads because you're so used to being in your own space and doing it how you doing it. Now you got to, now you like I said, marriage works. It takes patience and prayer, that you guys can really start to gel and become one and start figuring out how you can deal with each other's personalities and how you can deal with how each other do it. So you just got to come together and kind of make it work, because a lot of people, if you're selfish, that's a lot of times it don't work, because you say, I want it my way, this is how I want it, and it ain't going to change, then you got a problem. So you got to meet somewhere in between. So but it takes two people to do that. And that's how you become one. Because if you're going to do your own thing and he going to do his own thing, then, it ain't going to work out. Y'all ain't going to be one. But if y'all come together and reconcile and say, okay, how can we figure this? How we can do this, or how we can, or you can get some kind of guidance or counseling, or it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be married, especially for a long period of time, because you're constantly learning each other. You're constantly trying to figure things out.
I know from a female perspective, and so you see how he makes it simple. From a female point of view, we see things differently, and we have to understand that we do, and they don't see things that way. It's just an understanding. When before we got married, we got counseling, very good counseling by like 3 different counselors, and I thank God for the depth that they went into, because it prepared us for a lot of things. Like he was saying, one of the things that in the counseling session that they taught us was pick your battles. So if he throws the socks next to the clothes basket, you're going to be fussing with him for 10 years to pick it up. Don't worry about it. Just pick it up. It's not going to hurt anything. Put it up, put it in the basket. And if that's what you have to keep doing to keep your peace in your marriage, that's what you do. So even those little things have saved us a lot of stress with the small stuff in our lives. But for us, the real growing pains for us came in probably between year 3 to 8 in our marriage. And that's during the time when we got a house, we started having the kids, we were changing careers. And like the Bible says, that God makes the two one. And I believe what a lot of people fail to realize is, in order for 2 things to become one, you both have to be broken. It's almost like melting gold and then putting it back together. You both have to be broken, and you both have to be brought back together to become one. And it was, for me, it was tough. And I knew he was going through changes too, because he had just started a new job. That was around the time when he started with the sheriff's department. So I had to try to understand what he's going through every day at work, and I'm at home with the kids, and it was tough. Needless to say, we did a lot of fussing. We did a lot of arguing. The one thing that we both committed to, even before we got married, was that we would never use the D word as an out, no matter what we were going through. And if we had to take a breather and then come back and talk to each other, we would always communicate. We would always be open. We would always be transparent. During those times, the transparency was a little bit too overwhelming. We would talk, but it was a lot of times in anger and all of that. But we were changing during those years. And I grew up as a praying woman. Like, that's what Mama taught me. So I was praying a lot during those. And because of that, God was showing me a lot of things about me, things I needed to change about myself. He was showing me a lot of things about him that I had to be patient with for him to grow into. And it was a lot of tit for tat, but at the end of the day, I learned to be patient. And he was changing The thing with me is when something happens, it's like I don't really stop to celebrate it. I'm like, okay, let's go on to the next thing. And God had to teach me to celebrate the change that was happening in him. Like, stop and breathe. Acknowledge that it's there. Be grateful. He is growing. So I learned that during those years. I also learned who our true enemy was.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another one of the big problems that a lot of couples have. I learned who our true enemy was, and it was not him. It might have manifested through him, but it wasn't him. And God taught me that very well. The devil is your true enemy. Focus on who he really is, who the real enemy is. Yes, you're going to go through spats, and I also learned how to keep my mouth shut on a lot of stuff.
Bite your tongue.
Why? Like everything you know how to say. So a lot of times I literally put my hand over my mouth when I wanted to say something. Because, I learned to be quiet. A lot more verbal battles during that time. And like my friend said, she would always say to me, baby, just go through it and wait to 8. She told me that, just get to 8. I remember my friend always telling me that, get to 8. And when we got to year 8, it was just like the storm stopped and the sun came out. And peace just literally came over our marriage. And I really started seeing what God was doing in the darkness, to the point where I would say something and I would start talking about him and he would call in the middle of, like, it would happen all the time. Like, I'm talking to someone about him and the phone would ring and it would be him. Or I'd be thinking something and he calls and asks me the exact same thing I was. So in those dark times, he was really breaking us and molding us into one. We just didn't realize it. It was just a lot of pain. It was just a lot of frustration. But when we came out on the other side, we realized the work that he was doing. And yeah.
Awesome. So I'm hearing synergy. I'm hearing that there's no I in team. And it's more we and coming together, we as a team. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm blessed. I'm really, I mean, I'm not been married yet, but I mean, just listening to what you guys both said, I'm blessed by you just sharing just that little part of your journey. And when you think about, okay, you said you reached year 8, you're now heading towards year 19. Is there anything you entered marriage with the wrong misconception and then know that you're in the marriage, you're like, oh, so I was wrong all along? Did you have any misconceptions that you entered into marriage with?
Well, for me, I don't think I entered with any misconceptions about the marriage, because I guess being around people and the counseling that you get, that, I mean, it ain't gonna be perfect. It's something that you got to work on, and you got to know why we kind of knew why we was getting married. It wasn't just because I lust for her or she lust for me or something like that. It was deeper than that. But so it just kind of knew that it's gonna be work. It's not gonna be something where it's gonna be perfect, or how they had a wooden the picket fence and a nice house and everything is just wonderful all the time. So
I think for me it was, and I can say I didn't enter it with any preconceptions either. I think God eliminated that for me when we were dating, because I told you about what he said to me, what scared me. So when I met him, everything that I saw about him was God, like everything. When we started getting to know each other, I started seeing the other part of who he was. I remember going to God one day and going, God, was I being naive? All of this was here and I didn't see it. And I remember God saying to me, who you saw first is who he really is. Don't ever forget that. This is where he is, what you're seeing now. And it made me realize that it's okay to allow people to change. It's okay to allow people to change. And because of that, after that, I just asked God, I was like, God, I don't want to go into this marriage with my eyes closed. I don't want to go into it with blinders on. I want to be very clear about what is happening. I don't want any deception, going into our marriage. And this was you know, but this was probably around the time when we got engaged. So all of those things disappeared. And I think that's one of the reasons why he gave us those people to counsel us so well, because he wanted to eliminate those things for us. But he didn't want us to lower our standards. And that was one of the things that we both agreed on, that we were going to keep our standards high. Like there were some things that we weren't going to allow. There were some things that when I say allow, I mean, I don't have to worry about it with you. You know what I mean? That because of the standards that we set. And we communicated before we got married. We talked about everything you could think about, Shelly. Everything.
And that's the most important
one day you come home and you tell me that you cheated on me, how you gonna respond? What if one day you come home and you say, you know what, honey, I found out I was gay. What are we gonna, we talked about everything. What if after 15 years a child pop up and they say it's yours? When I tell you everything that you
I know she was the one who was asking those questions.
Oh, yeah. I do not like to be lied to. I do not like clothes. I always tell people, I don't have no sleeves. You think I got something up under my sleeves? I have no sleeves. Okay. So we laid everything out on the table. And we understood that there were some things that we were just gonna have to battle when they came. We understood that. But at least we knew each other's perspective on everything. How many kids we were gonna have. We talked about that. We talked about how we were going to train our kids up. Even before we got married, we talked about everything just to make sure we were on the same page.
Right.
So
and they said dating
the preconceptions
for us. They said that dating is data collection anyway, so it's important.
Well, data collection, okay.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, just listening to you guys, you pretty much laid it out before each other, and so you basically entered with your eyes wide open, so to speak. Yeah, that's awesome. You just, as I said earlier, I used to have to drop. I almost started crying because when you said something, is that it just ministered to my heart, confirmation for myself that okay, just relax. When your time comes, it will come. So I was just listening to what you said. Does really touch my heart. I started crying over here. Okay, but I'm good now. Tell me a little bit about your how would I put this now? I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, right? But as it relates to your time of intimacy and stuff like that, what would you say is okay, definitely that it's gonna get a little steamy, a little sexy later, or what's any indicator in your marriage that okay, I gotta get my man right, even if you're not ready for it, so to speak, Angie, you gotta get your man.
So one of the things I did for my family was I figured I had us do the 5 love language quiz, all of us, even my kids. This is probably about 2-3 years ago. So we could find out what each other's love language is. Well, there are certain things that pet peeves that I have that he would do that it would seem annoying to me, but I didn't realize that was his love language.
Okay.
Because his love language is quality time. So at the end of my day, I'll sit in my bed and I'm winding down, and he'll come in there and start trying to talk to me and try to touch me. And I'm like, okay, this is not the time. But I had to realize that to kind of see his indications. So he's touchy. This one right here. He's very touchy.
Hands on.
Yes. Yeah, so he'll start get physical and stuff, touching me on my butt and all of that, and talking about.
You got to get yourself together.
Oh, baby, you cute.
Yeah, but I realize because she says that like I know that most women likes it when you're, I guess, say for instance, you call her during the day, call her several times, times and, whisper sweet nothings in the ear, tell her, how good she look and how beautiful she is, which is always true, and just those different things. And, over time, then y'all sending each other little emojis and texting each other back and forth. And, that's when I know things are starting to get a little heated up. And then, when I make it home, and from there, it just inspires on.
All right.
Yeah, the kids get to go to bed.
Well, I tell you, or you send them over to grandma. Awesome. That's cool. So you keep mentioning pet peeves. And you mentioned a little. Is there any other pet peeves that you guys have? Because you mentioned about the no kissing earlier. You talk about the touchy things and stuff like that. What else are some pet peeves you guys have? Or you have resolved all of them?
There's some things, I don't think they ever go away. I think it's just a matter of you just understanding the other person. Like,
Let's guess your pet peeves.
One of my pet peeves, because I have really long days, and he's absolutely awesome with the kids, but he's the one who has a full schedule. So I'm the one who usually does a lot more for the kids with their schedule and everything. So I'm up really early in the morning. Like, I'll be up after 5. And that's just me getting up, just maybe having quiet time or something like that. So by the time 9 o'clock comes, I'm done. Like, I'm out. So I don't get a whole lot of times to sit down and just breathe and just eat. So when I'm winding down, I tend to do that. And my pet peeve is, don't talk to me when I'm eating. Just give me my little 10 minutes. Breathe, leave me alone. Let me just eat and relax and enjoy this 10 minutes of my day, But again, we have 3 kids. I mean, they're not going to understand the boundaries and all of that. So that's something that I often remind them, though, especially when it's not urgent to disturb me, and I don't get like railed up or upset about it as much as I used to. But it's still a moment I enjoy. I know one of his pet peeves is when he comes home from a long day of work, he does not like to see a dirty kitchen.
Oh, okay.
When we just got married, he would literally blow off the handle when it comes to that. And I know that he's, like I said, it never goes away, but you just understand, and you get a little bit more tolerant when it comes to things. So there are times when I'll just go do the dishes. The kids are the ones who do it now mostly. But sometimes when I know he's probably just exhausted and we've already had a long week, I'll go do it just so he doesn't have to deal with it when he comes in. And I'm not saying deal with it as he does it, but he just doesn't like to see that.
Right, I understand.
Because I don't like a clean house is it gives like a clear mind. To me, like a cluttered house. I mean, when the house is dirty, then it kind of like clutters your mind. And then especially like if you work all day and there's a lot going on and stuff, you don't even want to. I mean, for me, I don't want to deal with that. So I just like the dishes and everything be clean when I get home.
Right, I understand.
But he's been a lot more tolerant with it, because he also has to understand that when he's out, he doesn't know what's happening at home.
So what I'll do is, she knows now, because most times sometimes she'll have it clean, or if it's not, then I say, I'm not gonna stress about it. I walk up, go to sleep, and then, because she'll say, usually she'll tell me, okay, it's gonna get done. So by the time I wake up, it's done.
I understand. Like some parts of the house you can maybe overlook, but for some reason too, I prefer like the kitchen, to be a little bit myself. I understand. Yeah. So I wanted to find out, persons are listening, and I know you've been blessing them as you've been blessing me. So could you share just any words of encouragement to somebody who is navigating marriage, whether they're in year one or whatever year they are, because we can all get wisdom from each other. Any words of encouragement to someone who's getting ready to get married, something that they should look out for, or for somebody who's already married. You could decide who you want to encourage at this moment.
I would say, if you're single and you're getting ready to be married, and the person that you're dating, like you said, look for signs, or if this is something that I want to deal with or I want to put up with, because sometimes we get so caught up that we don't pay attention to those signs.
Mm-hmm.
We see it when we get into it. So looking and always, be aware of what's going on in a relationship. You're not going to find out everything, especially if you're not living together. But I also say, yeah, it's always great to be attracted to the person that you're with. But I said, don't let that be the only thing that you is, because if you're only attracted to that person and then there's nothing else attached to that, as far as relationship wise, or, when you get married, if something happens to that person, then, or you go through some trials and tribulations, are you really going to sustain that marriage? So what was it all about? Was it about the fact that you love each other, the fact that you're going to stick with each other, the fact that you're going to have each other back? Was it really love, or was it really lust? So you got to know the difference between the two. So that makes a big difference, because being married for a long time, a lot of that stuff fades, because you've been with the same person for we've been 19 years going on. So temptation is always out there. So if you don't have more than that, then it can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say is there's some things that I believe that needs to be foundation. When we were on our 15th anniversary, I remember this specifically because this was something that we did intentionally. We went out for dinner and then we went to walk in a park, and we did an assessment of our marriage when we were married for 15 years to find out what worked. What was it that actually was helping us to be successful? And the first thing we both said was he allows me to be me and I allow him to be him. We were individuals before we got married. I heard someone say that you don't come into a marriage 50-50, because in God's eyes, 50 plus 50 gives you 50. So you're going to be living an unhappy life. Mm-hmm. You bring in 100, the other person brings in 100, and that gives you a completion. So just allowing the other person to just be them, that's why you got married to them in the first place. Because that's supposed to be the reason. Because you love them for them, their personality, the whole package, and allowing them to be their individual selves is so essential. Because if you try to take away from that, then you're going to change the person and you're going to be unhappy. So that's one of the things. That's one of the things I love about Tim. I have my own business, and a lot of times I only work 2 days out of the week. There are times when I'm at a client's house at 11 o'clock in the night. And you can just imagine, with him also being an officer, he sees things out there that he's probably, going, I got to protect her from. But he doesn't stop me from doing what I do. What he does is he keeps me accountable. So, and I can tell you, like clockwork, Shelly, I'd be at an appointment and I look on my phone at 9 o'clock, he's calling me just to check to see if I'm okay. And sometimes I'll just text him just before, like, babe, I'm good. I'll call you when I'm done because we're running a little bit late. And even when I do run a little bit late, and I sometimes I'm driving 2 hours away from home. I'm just driving home and I'm tired. I've been on the road all day. He will talk to me for 2 hours all the way home to make sure I'm saying all of this to say, just allow the other person to be themselves and support them. God blesses what you bring, and everybody has something to bring. Don't change the status quo, because it's just going to make both of you unhappy. The other thing is, if you're already married, it's kind of late, but one of the things that I did before we got married was I asked God to show me. I remember praying one night going, God, if this is the person you have for me, when I wake up in the morning, I want to be 100% sure. like completely convinced, like no doubt that if anybody comes against me, if the whole world came against me, I would be able to stand with him and say, this is who God has for me without a doubt. And needless to say, that happened. Like the next morning I woke up and I knew without a doubt. And if you have if you have that level of commitment, that level of conviction, then everything else that you do will follow, because you won't mind serving the other person. You won't mind submitting to the other person. And as I say this, I'm going to say this to all of these women out there who your mama told you that you shouldn't make no man walk all over you. And I'm telling you from personal experience, make sure when you go out to bring your own money, so that if you need to leave, you can have bus, fare to come home.
Next money.
When I tell you, Shelly, God squashed all of that for me before I got married to him. I wasn't working when I met him. And it was hard because that's what mama told me, right? And when God told me he was going to give me a job, I walked for 2 days handing out resumes and nobody gave me a job. And I went back to God. I was like, I thought you were going to give me a job. He asked me, why do you want a job? I said, because I want my own money. So I ain't got to ask him for nothing. That was, And you know what, God, he stopped me. And he goes, just because you got the wrong intention. That's why I'm not giving it to you. The reason why you should want a job is so you can pool your resources together. So you can support him. He can support you. You come together, two becomes one, so that together you guys are stronger, because now it's two of you, not one. So you do it so that you can contribute to the relationship, not so that you can, forge your own thing. And when I tell you after, and then the other thing you said to me, right? I said, that's what mama said. He said, well, where's mama now? The relationship that mama has, is that what you're trying to get? And I had to admit that, no, I wanted to be happy. I didn't want to wake up 50 years and go, you stole the best 50 years of my life, right? So that had to break. That single mindset had to break. A lot of things has to break in you, and you just have to listen, just embrace the process. That's what it is. It's the process. Just embrace it. It's not going to get any easier. If you fight it, it's just going to get harder. Embrace the process, and just understand God's standards. Whatever God's standards are, make them your own. And that's one of the things that I thank God that we were able to do as a foundation for our marriage, was make God's standards our own. We have rules in our marriage, just like how we have rules for the kids. We have rules in our marriage. This was something that we came up with years. Before we got married. No male comes to the house when I'm here by myself. It didn't matter who it was. My brother, my cousin, no male comes to that. And it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Tim doesn't trust me. It's just everybody else is going to see a male come into my house. They don't know who this man is. Now she's stepping out on her husband. You see what I'm saying? That just caused a whole nother issue where he now has to defend me on something that he shouldn't have to defend me on. And the same thing with females. No female comes to the house when he's there by himself. We completely trust each other because I work with a whole lot of people. He works with a whole lot of people. So it's not that I don't trust him, but you have to have standards. Because you don't want your evil, your good be even spoken of. Like right. And you also have to set those standards for your children. That's one of the things that that we've learned how to do. Everything that we expect our kids to do, we do it first. Because kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. So we've learned how to grow. You know what I'm saying? Just take the excuses out of it, and just, if you got to get discipline in the area, just do it. Is it going to make your life better? Let me see, what else? One of the other things that I love about what God has done with us too is Tim is different from me. You could tell by our personality, right? He's a lot more reserved. I'm a lot more outspoken. Yeah. But needless to say, I'm the one who will stay at home in bed. He's the one who always wants to go out. So we are different. We're very different. One of the things that we've learned is to use our differences to complement each other. We give you an example. Tim is an early bird. He does not like to be late for anything. I'm usually late for everything, right? So when we got married, we had to figure that out. So my time management is a weakness for me. It's a strength for him. So because we learned how to feed off of each other's strengths and differences, I use him to help me to learn how to manage my time. And I would literally ask him, babe, I gotta be at an appointment this time. What time do I need to get ready? What time do I need to leave? And he would literally break it down for me. He would tell, okay, you need to get ready at this time, factor in traffic. What time do you need to be there? And he would break it down for me. And I depended on him for a very long time until I learned how to do it on my own about how to manage time. You know, so because of that, it makes me look good. So say,
it was one point she did it. She was doing it a lot, and I said, I told her, I said, Ann, come on. And I think one time I ended up leaving her.
Yeah, he left me. He drove up and left me at church. But I'm just saying that.
I was talking to the pastor. He said, well, you know, if it's continuing to happen, he said, this one time, just leave us. He said, it'll cross.
Yeah, he actually left me. But I'm saying all of that to say, don't let your differences separate you. You're different because God put you together. That's why the Bible says that two is better than one. So if one falls, the other one will pick them up. That's what the Bible says that. So you depending on the other person's strength, it doesn't mean that you're weak. It just means that you're trying to remain strong, and vice versa, because there are things that Tim depends on me for as well. But more than anything else, God and prayer need to be your foundation. Oh my God. We can't talk enough about that.
And we can't. I mean, you're both going to have flaws and different things that you got to work on as an individual. And, you know, you can't really, I guess, get mad with the other person and get frustrated and try to change them and make them the way that you want them to be. Or it's got to be something where, you know, over time, you're praying for them and you guys talking about it. And over time, they got to be the one that make that change. Because I see it a lot, just in my job, I see a lot of people just do stuff out of spite for each other. They break up and, you know, or they divorce and they have kids and they use the kids out of spite. You know? So, I mean, you have to have some patience with each other when it comes to a lot of this stuff, because if you don't, you know, it can go bad really quickly. So given that time, that's what you say, give a person
give them room to grow.
You know, so you got to have some kind of patience with each other. You know, over time it'll pay off.
And you got to allow yourself to grow too. A lot of times too, people don't, you know, I'll see the flaws in Tim, but I don't see the flaws in me. If you're desiring change in the other person, it's because there's something that needs to change in you. And during those 3 to 7 years that I was telling you about before, that's what happened with us. We had to work out the flaws in ourselves. So I was looking at him a lot, but then I ended up seeing me. I had to change. I had things in me that I needed to let go of, allow God to deliver me from. And during that time, I read a lot of books. One of them that comes to mind is Breaking Generational Curses by Hickey, I think is her last name. I was introduced to that book when I started seeing things in me that were coming from my dad that I didn't know existed in me. And they weren't good things. They were things that were in my whole family line. Like our whole set of family members were doing this, and I didn't want it to be in me. And someone introduced me to that book. And through that book, I was able to pray and break generational curses over myself. It taught me how to break generational curses over Tim, things that he didn't realize that was in his bloodline too. And through that time, God delivered us from a lot of it. And it was a process of years of us getting delivered. Don't neglect the process, because that's what's really going to make your marriage strong. That's what's really going to bring you together and really merge you as one, is those times when you go through together and do that together. Don't go through by yourself. The other person doesn't have to understand. They don't have to see it your way. You know, as long as you have God as that threefold cord in the process, you know, he'll help you to bring it to clarity. The other book that I read is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Needless, I didn't get past chapter 2, to tell you the truth, but I understood him after chapter 1.
Okay.
Because I realized why he gets into his man cave when something is on his mind. And I used to be the one that, baby, tell me about it. I want to know now. But and he processes things differently from me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to understand that. And when I understood that, it was easier for us to deal with whatever it was that was affecting him. Because all I would say sometimes is, babe, I know you're going through some stuff. I'm here whenever you need me. That's it. And an hour later, he's talking to me about it. But again, it's us understanding the other person and being patient, to grow and not forcing it. You can't force the other person to be who you want them to be. Allow them to be them. And the beauty of who they are is going to come through, and you're going to appreciate and love who they have become. And just changes are always going to happen. I mean, we're changing right now. There's stuff that we're dealing with right now that we've never dealt with before, but because we've gone through so much together, we know, I know I can go through anything with this man. Like, we've been through a lot where everybody else around us walked away and it was just us. The person needs to be your best friend. And I'll be honest with you. If, I know a lot of women that they'll hold on to their little girlfriends. And this is my best friend. The thing is, you tell your best friend everything. There are times when you're not going to want to talk to your spouse. Okay? I tell people all the time, I never ever thought about leaving Tim. I do feel like smacking him a lot of times, but I never ever thought about leaving. I get upset and I'm like, get away from me. I don't want to talk to my husband right now, But I always want to talk to my friend. I always want to talk to my best friend. And because of that, we always come back together because we're each other's best friend. So even when we are not operating in husband and wife mode, you know what I mean? No matter how mad I get at him or how mad he gets with me, because we're best friends, we always come back together. And we that bond in our friendship restores our marriage, is what I'm saying. So yeah, that mindset needs to change if anybody has it out there. Your spouse needs to be your best friend.
Gems falling everywhere. So I'm gonna build your house, and you kept hitting on the foundation. So you established your foundation, which is God and prayer. So if you're supposed to construct your marriage in a architecture's thing, like a little house or a little palace or whatever you want to let your marriage look like, what else would you put to complete that house? You have already established your foundation as God and prayer. What else would be the pillars of that you use to, keep your marriage together?
Hey, what? Support.
Yeah.
Love, respect, things.
A unity, definitely. You guys need to be unified. Let me just say this: unity does not mean agreement. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to agree. That's not what unity means. It just means you got to be on the same page. And for women, with unity, it comes submission, not just for the wife, but also for the husband. I don't know why this keeps coming back up, but while I'm talking to you, I'm hearing that again, because when we were saying our vows, I told him, he didn't realize it. When the pastor said, submit to your husband, I said it through clenched teeth. Because I didn't understand what submission, what I was taught submission was having somebody walk all over you. That was what I was taught submission was. And because I grew up with a very strong mom, that is not something that I ever saw. I don't understand that. That's abuse to me. I prayed 2 months after we got married for God to teach me what that really meant, because I wanted to be obedient to God, but I also didn't want to be abused. You understand what I'm saying? And I remember when God laid it out, and I just want to share this because I'm saying, like I said, it keeps coming back to me. When God laid it out to me, the first question he asked me was, do you submit to me? And I said to him, yes, I do. I mean, it's easy to submit to you. You're not going to beat me up or abuse me or use me. And he said, okay, if you can submit to me, then all you need to do is to submit to the God on the inside of him. And I was like, wow. He said, yes, you don't have to agree, but if you submit to the God on the inside of him, then you're submitting to me and you're submitting to him. And submission is not a place of weakness, it's a place of strength. It's already in you. You're already been created with it. You do it naturally. You just choose who you do it to or do it for, that is. But you do it naturally. And when God taught me that, and he said that when you submit to your husband, what you're really doing is you're showing him that you have his back. Wow. That's it. You're showing him that you have his back. So when there are times when times come for us when we're making decisions, and Tim is really good about this. He always asks my opinion, and I love that about my husband, because no woman wants to be silenced. The strength of a woman is her voice.
And I don't go around saying, "Hey, you better do what I tell you to do." Yeah. And she's a grown woman. She makes her decision on based on. She letting God use her and just being a great wife, So I always say it like that. Like, if like a lot of people run around and say, okay, I'm gonna watch this person because they going around, husband or a wife going around cheating or doing different things and stuff like that. You can't control that. If they decide they want to do something, they're gonna do it. So only thing you can do is do your part on what you're supposed to do. And you work out things according to how, it unfolds. But like I said, I don't, that's as far as that submission part of it, stuff like that. I never seen it like that as far as me saying, hey, you're going to do what I tell you to do or else. So it was never like that for me.
And like I said, he's very good at asking me my opinion on things. So whenever we have to make like a decision, and what I want to do is completely on the opposite side of what he wants to do. I remember when God was explaining that to me, he said, always let him decide. I would always give the decision to Tim. And whatever he decides, I agree with it, as if it were my own, even if it wasn't my choice that he decided on. And throughout the years, what I've realized, it didn't matter what I thought the outcome was going to be. Even if I thought the choice he made wasn't the right one in that moment, God always worked it out. He always blessed it. And it was because he taught me that if I submitted to him, because I'm in order, it didn't matter what he was doing. If I stayed in order, God will still bless us because I'm in order. So again, it's not about the choice. You see what I'm saying? It's about being obedient to God and being submissive, being in position. And oh my God, baby, what? Three kids later, almost 19 years of marriage, 2 houses. I mean, we've made a lot of choices over the years, between us and between the kids, and everything that we've done, God has blessed us because we've learned, and I'm not going to say it was easy.
But it's been nothing but up.
Yeah.
And stuck.
Yeah.
So we I can remember when we first got married, the first apartment we had, all we had was an air mattress, was a small TV, a computer.
It was a $50 TV. Yeah, and the old computer my sister and I had.
It wasn't much at all.
Oh my God. When we got married, we didn't even have a bed. We didn't even have
So from there to now?
Yeah. We went to our wedding ceremony with $36. And 25 of that was for the hotel that we were gonna stay in. We didn't have no food, we didn't have anything. We left the reception with over $300. And that was including the gifts that we got. We didn't have no bed. One of my really good friends bought us an air mattress because she realized we didn't have a bed. We didn't have a bed. But God he's just so blessed us since then. And all of these things are just based on just we try to be obedient to God's word, because for us that's where it is. So obedience, we're very big on obedience. We're very big on accountability too. That's one of our pillars. what you say is what you do. Like, we don't make commitments unless we're going to fulfill them. That's just a pet peeve, and we teach our kids that. I'd rather you not say you're going to do it than you tell me you're going to do it and you don't. So we're very big on making sure that we keep our word to each other. Oh my God, baby.
Awesome. So I appreciate you just coming in and just sitting and sharing your journey with us. So before we close, I would thought that my channel, I love to celebrate life moments. That's a whole concept. So as you say, you took your 10 minutes to eat and enjoy your food. When you take a time just to compliment each other, share a toast with each other. So and then you could go first, and we cheers to whatever you're toasting.
Thank you. We have our.
Oh, okay.
Really? Yeah.
Mine is almost the same color.
I just want to. My first toast is going to be to you, Shelly. Thank you for the platform.
Oh,
I think a lot of people, I had someone asked on Facebook, just in a random group that I'm in, why aren't they happy marriages? And, of course, my reply was really long. And the biggest part of it is because people have learned to be so selfish, they forget to be selfless. You can't be married and be selfish. So I want to applaud you, and I want to give my roses to you for just what you're doing, for giving people information that they probably wouldn't have had access to, for allowing us to share our journey. We don't we don't do this. Like, this is like the second time since we've been married we've ever had an opportunity to even marriage. So we thank you for that. God is still blessing marriages. And I'm going to encourage you. I said this to my husband the other day. Not everybody is created to get married. The problem is people are forced into it. What we have to understand is why God created marriage. And when he created marriage, it's created as a direct reflection of him and the church. You desire to be married and you want to do it just once, start praying for your spouse now, as if you know them. And ask God to prepare you, women. Ask God to prepare you as a wife. The Bible says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. Notice, it is not a husband who finds a wife. It is a man. So when a man finds, which means though you have to be a wife before the man finds you. You have to be whole before the man finds you. You don't get complete through the other person. You're complete when he finds you. And then in the process of the marriage, God uses you to make the man your husband. He's not a husband without you. He's also not a husband outside of the confines of marriage. So I thank you for giving us this opportunity to share our journey. We're extremely private. People, if you don't see that yet, we'll show stuff on Facebook and stuff, but we're extremely private. And I mean, first flowers are to you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Everybody else. And then I want to toast this awesome man next to me. It makes me look good. I tell people that all the time. He does. He makes me look good. And it's not an understatement, because the church that we were in before, we were both ministers. And because he would have to work on weekends a lot of times, I would be the only one showing up. And sometimes the people at the church would say, oh, he's not doing his part, he's a minister. And I'm like, seriously? Like, you don't know he's at home going, baby, did you do this? Baby, did you do that? With all of the responsibilities that I had at church, did you send this text out to make sure this is in order? He was keeping me on track with a lot of things that they were praising me for, not realizing he was the one who was, keeping my back and holding me down. He's my strength a lot of times when I just want to pass out, literally pass out, because I'll run to that point till I pass out. And he keeps me accountable. For Somebody asked me one time, what would I be doing if I was married with kids? I would be somewhere in the world doing probably something I ain't got no business doing.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps me grounded. He keeps my feet on the ground. And I really thank God for sending me a man after God's own heart. And he really is. He loves me like nobody else loves me. And he shows me that. And I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, your turn.
First I toast you, just thank you for having us on here, being able to share. It's a great thing that you're doing. Doing these, whether it's live or whether it's recorded, helping out couples all around the world. Anything that somebody might watch and it might help them out or change some things in their marriage, or people that's looking inspired to get married. They can pick up some things that help them out along the way. And I just pray God send that person that's meant for you, that's specially handcrafted for you and molded for you in your life, that you be blessed and you guys be blessed as one, and that you guys be able to reach out and do more as a couple. And that he put someone in your life that makes you happy and give you joy, and vice versa. So just thank you just for the opportunity of being here today.
Oh, thank you too.
To you, Shelly.
Then I give toast to my lovely wife. Such a beautiful person, awesome in all the ways, so giving, so caring. Not only me and the kids, but just for the love she has for everybody is amazing, because you don't see that all the time. You don't see that, but and just the will and the drive to do things for God, and she puts him first in her life every day, and putting him in first, he lines up, like she said, she prayed for whatever she's praying for, he lines it up and he takes care of her. And I just thank it just for the support of person that she is, and how she's blessed my life so much and changed my life. And I would so like to just let you know that I appreciate you, I love you, I respect you, and I couldn't ask for anything better. And I pray that we have I pray that we live to be 120, still out, just somewhere on the beach somewhere, just still chilling and just enjoying, healthy and enjoying each other.
All right, my turn. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. And I want to wish for you guys many more years of marriage, many more years of learning. As you see, you're still learning each other. Steamy times, happy times. Even the grandchildren come and you have them around and you just send them back to their parents, just growing and and enjoying each other and being inspiration. I hope that there'll be a book or two that will come from your marriage. You can document for others to read about, and that God will just continue to smile on you guys and bless you. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you. And early happy anniversary. All right, God bless the roads. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another wonderful episode. Before we go, first of all, are you guys on social media? Well, how can they connect with you or do business with you? Because I know you said you're a business person, so quickly tell them before I forget.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a financial coach. My specialty is helping people to get out of debt and build financial wealth, and what we call posterity, which is not just for you, but for your children and your children's children. I am on Facebook under my name, Angelline Rhodes. That's my personal page. I also have my Financial Serenity Coach is my handle on Facebook, Financial Serenity Coach, which is the same handle I have on TikTok as well as on Instagram. So it's Angelline _ Financial Serenity. And I also have a YouTube channel with the same handle, Financial Serenity. Yeah.
You, Mr. Rhodes, you're on social media?
I'm on social media, but I'm not really doing anything on social media right now. So
okay, all right.
Working on some things in the future.
So like if person needs help with whatever financial stuff, do you do like insurances and stuff like that?
I do,
It's
yes.
a posterity, so okay.
Yeah, posterity is it's more of building a foundation where you are in a position where, despite of where you are financially, that your mindset is to leave a legacy for your children's children, like the Bible said. And we have platforms to help you to do that, or just educate. A big part of what I do is teaching and educating people. And in turn, they can teach their kids as well.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So connect with her, guys. And I've seen a couple of her videos, so she really does break it down. And I stumbled on a couple of your videos and I was like, oh, this is what you're up to. So yeah, she's good at what she does. So thank you so much for coming on, guys. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And remember, take care of you, because there's only one you. Thank you so much for making it according to MzShellz. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.